Do you guys ever just bite off more than you can chew? I mean, I've bitten off more than I can chew so many times throughout my entire life, I have lost count. But this particular time was a little bit different. So, just to set the stage for you, I had basically been destroying this opposing team to the point where I thought the Geneva Convention was going to add a Badger provision. But basically, I thought it was unstoppable. So unstoppable, in fact, that I started killing people with zip lines, which conveniently leads us to Exhibit A. And believe me, my mind was razor sharp at this specific moment, and I was thinking clearly about what exactly was about to occur. I quickly read the situation that involved myself standing in front of a zip line and the 5 to 6 enemies that awaited my arrival on the end of said zip line. And it's like my brain was calculating all the possible outcomes to the scenario that I found myself in. It was like some kind of desperate intern rifling through files upon filing cabinets in this high-rise office building that is my brain, trying to determine whether or not this was a good idea. And even with all that careful planning and deliberation about whether or not I should embark upon this journey into several enemies below me, my brain turned to instinct. It was like Jurassic Park all over again. I was too enthralled in finding out whether or not I could, and I didn't stop to think about whether or not I should. And I know deep down in my heart that I shouldn't do it, but it's a goddamn zip line. What could possibly go wrong? Now at this point, I absolutely know that I am about to be mercilessly shot by the surrounding adversaries. I mean, there's no surprise there. And my brain is so caught up with exactly what decision to make next that I don't even have the time on my hands to regret the decisions that I've already made, which were clearly unintelligent. Like, why did I take the zip line? Why didn't I try to jump off halfway through? And although these are all clearly rhetorical questions, I immediately know what I need to do next. I need to take down as many of the guys surrounding me as humanly possible, so I blaze up my Molotov cocktail and prepare to smash it exactly where I stand. Now at this point, you can clearly see that I have failed to drop said Molotov, but possessing the situational awareness and swift decision-making skills that I do, I quickly evaluate the position that I find myself in and react accordingly. And it should be obvious what's coming. I mean, HR shoving stuff over here has his fist ready to plant one in my face. Now, whether or not his fist is going to beat up my face or my face is going to beat up his fist is irrelevant, because there is a little bit of uncertainty as to exactly what he's going to do, because I have no idea what he's gonna throw at me. And the way I see it, I've got 3 choices here, all right? He can either throw a left hook, a left cross, or a jab. And you better believe me when I say that I am praying on my hands and knees with both of my hands smashed together to Muhammad Ahmad Bruce Lee that he is going to throw a jab. Because if he throws a hook or a cross, I'm going to be eating ravioli through a straw for the next 6 months while I try to hit on the nurse that probably is not even attractive, if I even somehow manage to miraculously survive. Now at this point, obviously one of 2 things has happened. Number 1, instead of punching me in the face, he bashed open my Molotov, thus lighting himself and all of his teammate buddies on fire via the flaming rag and flammable liquid that it had previously contained, which is the most probable explanation. Or, number 2, he could have punched my mixtape out of my shoulder pocket. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard it yet, but you need to peep my mixtape in case you haven't already. I mean, that shit is straight fire, fam. Alright? Straight fire. Now at this point, I ain't even mad, alright? I mean, whether it was the Molotov or my mixtape, both equally probable explanations. I mean, I don't have like a PhD in criminal forensics, but they're probably equal explanations for what happened. I got a triple assist and happened to have burned myself to death. So what did we learn? What did we learn? I hope you didn't answer that because that was a purely rhetorical question, and I only have one thing to say to all of the enemies that came down with me, all right? I have one single thing to say. Worth. Totally worth. 100% worth. Like, if it could be a decision that I would have between not worth and worth, this would definitely be a worth, all right? Totally worth it. So beyond my shenanigans on Bank Job, I actually really enjoy the direction that Visceral has taken with these new melee weapons. I mean, obviously all of the recent battlefields have only allowed you to use knives as melee weapons, and as you may imagine, seeing the same stabbing animation over and over and over again does get pretty boring. But now, we have a massive variety of different melee weapons. I mean, we've got hammers and crowbars, and even bats to batons. However, with this newfound variety, does come with both good and bad. Starting with the bad, the animations aren't smooth enough for me. I know there's a myriad of different animations in the game with the respective melee weapon types that are all different, whether the target is standing or crouching or laying down on the ground, but that still doesn't excuse that most of the animations lack smoothness and feel as if they're 15 FPS. I mean, it's just a little odd for me. And furthermore, the animations are an exercise in excessive risk. It's like anybody that's borrowing on margin to short oil right now. It's probably not the best idea in terms of overall risk. It's not like it's a secret to anybody that played the beta that it was far more efficient just to go up to somebody and smack them twice in the face or smack them once with a hammer or a door breacher, depending on if it was a lighter or melee weapon, than to actually perform a takedown animation. I mean, you're basically surrendering all control of your character and opening up yourself to all kinds of vulnerabilities of any kind of enemy that's in close proximity, and some 12-year-old's probably gonna run up and quickscope you anyways. And even sometimes, these animations can ruin your moment. I mean, I can remember a time when I wanted to knock a guy off of the lookout on top of the bank by clocking him in the back of the dome piece with a hammer, but instead I wrestled him back from the edge like I was trying to prevent some kind of imminent suicide or something. It's not the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, I'm not saying that Visceral should immediately add the ability to either smack your enemy with one key and perform a single takedown with another, but I think a feature like that is definitely something that they should consider. Possibly, maybe, definitely, immediately. But all serious talk aside, I think that the most fun that you can possibly have is undoubtedly with a golf club or breaching / sledgehammer, depending on if you're a cop or a criminal. Now, don't get me wrong, the knife animations are very creative in this game, but the 9-iron and sledgehammer are just too iconic to pass up. And believe it or not, the Gold Golf Club is actually a super efficient killing tool in close quarters. And I kid you not, if you can get the jump on a couple enemies in a motel, you can rack up the kills like you're operating a taxidermy / wall mounting business. But my greatest piece of advice to you is to try your very best not to enter the takedown animations. That is an absolute gold nugget of advice. I mean, sure, it's kind of flashy the first time you see a takedown animation, but it's not efficient for killing people. You will be so much better off if you just quickly smash the guy twice in the face like you're trying to escape a sand trap and land on the green without knocking it into the gator-infested swamp. And you should take this advice from me because I've killed way too many dudes with the golf club. I mean, I've killed so many guys with the golf club, I'm surprised that I'm not sponsored by Top Flight or TaylorMade. Hell, even Titleist should be giving me some gear or some money. And finally, I would like to leave you with a peculiar thing that happened to me recently while going up a flight of stairs. And in case you can't figure out what happened, I'm not gonna break it down for you step by step. Just, you know, watch it again. I mean, seriously, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. If that makes any sense at all. Now, please watch closely, and I will catch you guys later.